هلا يا 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 هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا.
Welcome, this is ITV Live coming to you from Johannesburg. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program with me, Julie Alli. This is Let's Talk. Coming on the show this morning, we're going to be talking drones and robotics. We're also going to be talking about lupus and the alternative way of healing or encountering the condition called lupus. And we'll be wrapping up by talking about cloth nappies. That's right, cloth baby nappies. So all of that coming up in the program. Do stay with me. Lines will be open throughout the show on 011 086 7777. And don't forget the usual drill, our giveaways on the show, a sweet hamper from Broadway Sweets and a hair care hamper from Amca. You do stand in line to get one of those prizes by just calling in and perhaps sharing your comments, or maybe you have a question for one of our guests on the show this morning. So we'll start off by talking about drones and robotics and just where technology is taking us in the current time, obviously in the present and in the future. And you know what? The mind boggles, absolutely. We have Henny Keesner in the studio, and he will be talking about all of those weird and wonderful things around drones and robotics. Henny, good morning. Welcome to the program. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
Yes, 100%.
All right, Henny, I know you're absolutely passionate about drones and robotics. You run a company manufacturing drones. Tell us all about it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I presume you come from an engineering background. How did this all come about?
Actually, it's interesting. My company is called, as you say, Desert Wolf. And many, many years ago, we started manufacturing trailers, just normal camping trailers. And from there, within 2 years, we were known as the world's Rolls-Royce camping trailers, made all the way in South Africa. And because of that, a lot of other industries started approaching us to say, listen, can you use your camping technology and the very strong, rough, robust trailer to develop typically a surveillance unit? And the first surveillance unit we actually did for De Beers in 1996, if I remember correct. Taking a trailer, adding solar panels, adding a very long mast, very expensive long-range thermal capability so that they could survey the open-cast mines at Kleinsee on the coast. And from there, obviously, it just ran away. We started getting more into what we call mobile surveillance solutions, taking vehicles and adding the sensors and control rooms in vehicles, giving people mobile solutions. And at some point, one of my customers said, "Henny, your vehicles and trailers is great, but they're not movable enough. Can you use your knowledge and technology to design and develop an aerial platform that when we see something, we don't have to start the Sprinter and move a kilometer. We can just launch this drone of yours and go and look at people." And that's where we started with drones many, many years ago.
So for young people today interested in this new technology, drones and robotics, are there opportunities by the educational institutions to prepare them for the world of drones and robotics? And when you hear about robotics being offered at schools, what exactly is it that they're teaching our children?
Well, let's start with the first question. I don't think that our schools, universities and technicons and even our parents understand the need for training and new curriculums and new training programs for the technology that's exploding. Obviously, robotics has been with us for many, many years. We all know that things get automated. But when you take robotics a step further and you make it unmanned drone technology, in other words, and that could be aircraft, vehicles, boats, as long as it moves, it's called a drone. I know it moves without people sort of driving it directly. Nothing has actually been done in South Africa to promote the drone technology yet. And as we know, legislation has been in place since July last year. So already we need pilots, we need maintenance technicians, we need programmers, we need marketers for this new drone technology, and there's nothing available from a training point of view. we've started engaging government, Department of Education, and technicians in schools to say, listen, advance your robotics training programs and start thinking how can we start training people for drone technology. And obviously the first biggest hype now is the airborne drones.
Typically, how big would it be? And we're going to talk about where and how it can be used most effectively. But when we talk about a drone, I'm not sure if you brought any visuals along for us to show on air. But if not, how big would a drone be?
It's actually quite interesting if you look at, let's call it now, aircraft drones.
Yes.
Some of the smallest drones is basically as big as an apple, and it can physically fly, automated from your cell phone and give you live image feedback back. And then they go bigger and bigger and bigger, up to the size of a full Boeing 747 that's flown without a pilot inside. So the range is from extremely small to extremely big. Obviously, the bigger the drone, it gets more into police and military type applications, research and NASA type companies. And the smaller the drone, it goes more to the recreational side. So the sizes is tremendous. Interesting fact is, in the military sphere, a lot of militaries are now using what they call a small, like a helicopter. It's about that big, and the guy will just launch it to get over the wall to see where's the enemy shooting at him. So the ranges and the sizes is tremendous. In South Africa, however, legislation only currently allows drones of under 25 kilogram to get a legal license. We're not at the point yet for commercial applications where we can go bigger than a 25 kilogram drone. But with a 25 kilogram drone, there's unlimited applications already available, and we're doing it in South Africa.
Now, you tell me you're based in Pretoria, your factory is in Pretoria, and you employ about 25 people working for you, building these drones and robotics. So if there's strict legislation governing the purchase and the use of these drones, who are your customers and what would they be using the drones for?
Obviously, the customers for drone technology in South Africa is tremendous, and it's various. There is not a single industry in our country that does not want to use drones. Now remember, the legislation is new June, July last year. We're battling to get the applications through this. I think at this stage only 8 or 9 companies that's legalized and that can fly. But the industries is mining, agricultural, healthcare, your reporters, your news media industries, construction industries. There's not a single industry that's really screaming to say we need this technology available. My company only again specialized in the surveillance type application drones. We don't do the agricultural drones because each of these technologies is a mixture of robotics and drone technology, and one can't do everything. It's not possible.
Okay, so talk to us about the different disciplines. You spoke about agriculture, you spoke about medical and other activities as far as drones are concerned. Let's understand how it would be used in these different disciplines.
Typically, if you look at agriculture, the estimate worldwide is that the biggest benefit and application will be in the agricultural sector. And that's what we call clever farming. And there you will typically use a drone with different capability cameras on it. And we call it multispectral cameras. So if you have typically a piece of farmland and you need to irrigate it, how do you know that all your sprinklers is giving the right amount of water over this massive, let's call it 10,000 hectare farm? It's physically not possible to know. But if you send a drone, once you've irrigated, you can easily see where you've got dry spots and wet spots. If you have a certain sickness infestation, by looking at the different temperature of the plants, you can then easily see, but listen, I've got a color variation in that specific area, and if you go there, you will find, okay, this is the infestation, and you can treat it. And you can do that farm, full scan, in less than a day, where if you had to send people by foot on the farm, it will take you months. So in farming application, it's massive. If you look at cattle farms, if you need to count your cattle, you need to chase all the cattle in and then one by one count them, which doesn't work if you've got a big farm. Again, if you have a drone, you pre-program it, you press a button, you sit in your house, the drone will fly over your farm and come back with the count. If you typically, for rhino farmers, if you want to protect your rhinos, a drone technology is ideal. At night, the drone will automatically fly your perimeter. You don't fly it, you tell it, you give it the GPS program, it does it fully automated, and you will find the perpetrators long before they actually get over your fence. So in farming, it's endless what you can do with drones.
We'll talk about how it can use and assist, doctors in rural areas, perhaps even education in rural areas. But let's just understand what's the difference between drones and robotics.
Robotics refer more to the term of automating any type of process using electronics. In other words, if you have let's call it a sewing machine, and you want that sewing machine to automatically manufacture something for you, you'll use robotics, means electronics and sensors, to get that sewing machine in a pre-programmed fashion to manufacture something for you. If you typically look at the way they manufacture cars, previously you had people by hand doing welding. Now you've got what we call an automatic robot, a robotic robot, and the robot will do the work for you. But that's more automating stationary processes. When we talk about drones, it's when you use robotics to get a vehicle to do something sort of automatic.
Okay, and we're going to take an ad break now. We are talking to Henny Kieser. He is talking to us about drones and robotics. And still to come in the show, we're going to be talking about lupus, the alternative method or way of perhaps addressing that condition if you are suffering from it. And we'll be wrapping up by talking about baby nappies. We've come full circle, so stay with me for all of those interesting interviews coming your way. Welcome back. We are talking to Henny Kieser. We're talking drone technology and robotics. Should it matter to you, is this something that's going to feature in a big way in our lives? And should we be taking such a special interest in drones and robotics? Well, we do have the expert here, Henny Kieser, and he's talking about drones and robotics. Henny, back to you. We spoke about the difference between drones and robotics, and you also spoke about the production line where robotics or robots can take over lots of the menial tasks in large factories, etc. But with high employment rates, not only in South Africa, all around the world, isn't there a fear that this would create further job losses?
There's definitely a fear, and that's actually, in a way, the sad thing about not marketing the way technology moves ahead. Yes, robotics will take the welder's job away, but you still need a professional welder to inspect the quality of the weld. But by building this robot, you create a lot of other jobs, because these things need to be manufactured, they need to be maintained, they need to be serviced. So technology doesn't really necessarily just take people's jobs away, it creates other jobs and other opportunities. And typically with what we see with the drone technology, it's actually a fairly low-skilled job. The drone, yes, is extremely high technology, but the people operating the drone could be maximum standard 6 or standard 8, grade 10 or 12 maximum. So it creates other jobs. So it's not a risk for us, it's just a mindset change. It's like with the telephone, where you had the exchange and ladies 50 years ago plugging in cables, those jobs is gone, but cell phones create millions of other jobs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, before the break we spoke about drone technology and we spoke about it in a certain sector. What about in the medical sector, perhaps education and other sectors? How can drones maximize its use in these different sectors and probably assist us as human beings in bettering ourselves and our situations and protecting us from dangerous situations?
Well, obviously, in the medical fraternity, specifically in South Africa and Africa. Remember, in Europe, you've got clinics and it's fully populated. But in South Africa, we've got very small clinics and a doctor and a nurse that drives for hundreds of kilometers to service those very remote clinics. Now, the doctor will see the patient and he'll say, okay, I need this medicine. But that medicine is only going to arrive at the clinic a few days later. If we use drone technology, while the doctor writes out the prescription, automated message will be sent to a depot, the drone will take off, and even before the doctor leaves, the medicine could be delivered to those remote clinics at a fraction of the cost by sending a vehicle that has to drive this very treacherous, dangerous road to get the medicine. we actually lose people. People die because they don't get medicine in time. If we use drone technology, medicine can be dispersed a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot cheaper. And we all know that medical is extremely expensive in South Africa. By chasing this technology, the price of medical will come down and people will get serviced a lot faster. So we have to do that.
But what about the cost transporting the medication via drone? That's a very sophisticated piece of machinery, and I should imagine it's pretty expensive.
The machinery from a capital point is expensive, but remember, a vehicle is also a couple of 100,000 rand. So for the same rough price, let's call it 500,000 rand, which is a vehicle, you can have a drone doing that same job, but the running cost is a lot less, it's a lot faster, and it's a lot more reliable. So
what would the lifespan of a drone like that be?
Those drones will easily run for 5 to 6 years if you maintain them properly, which is the same lifespan you get out of a vehicle. But the challenge we sit with in South Africa, we have to get government and specifically CIA to understand the risk versus the benefit. Now, CIA will immediately say, no, forget it, we're not interested because it's too risky.
The CIA being?
The Civil Aviation Authority in South Africa. But they don't understand that people get killed by driving the vehicles to get to those clinics. And they don't look at the amount of lives you'll save by utilizing this technology. And they'll say, yeah, but medicine is dangerous and we can't. What happens if the drone falls? You can easily protect that medicine, and you can also make it to auto-destruct the medicine. But I'm convinced that if it's got a red cross and that community knows that box is medicine for our own people, they will run and pick up that box and take it to the clinic. They're not going to do something funny with the medicine. So you have to look at risk versus benefit, and that's where we're missing a lot of the risk versus the benefit.
I'm thinking of drought or heavy rains in certain areas where people get cut off in remote areas. Could the drones be used to perhaps transport food to those areas in these stricken areas?
It can, and if you look worldwide, whenever there's a disaster currently, within hours, people have drones deployed. Firstly, looking at where are the people that need to be serviced, and then taking emergency rations and equipment to them. Typically a project we did in South Africa, we're at the coast where we've got these beavers swimming and you've got a lifeguard. We showed that we can take a drone and deliver an inflatable buoy to the person in stress within seconds, where it takes the lifeguard minutes to get to that person. So the use of drones is a must. It's not something we can debate or say, should we or shouldn't. We have to do that. If you typically look for me, which is a sensitive area, the issue we had at Marikana, and it's still in the news, it still hasn't gone away. It's a very sad happening in our history. My company, by coincidence, were called out that day to go and fly a drone over those 2 copies. We gave the police the footage, and they told us, listen, it's getting dangerous, and we left the scene. And on the highway, we heard of this horrible shooting accident. If we had drone technology in place, Marikana would not have happened.
Sure.
With the current protests also, and again, I've had a lot of flack internationally from people say, but no, you can't use drones to quell protests. That's not the idea. The idea is to allow people to peacefully protest, but to control the protest, take the police out of the equation, reduce the anger, because the moment the police arrives at a peaceful protest, people get agitated. The moment the riot police arrives with the batons and the shields, they get more agitated. Take the police out, put the drones in the air, everybody knows, listen, we're on camera, and this is an interesting camera. They will behave themselves. If they don't, you have a full video record of what went wrong, and then we will have a lot more protests peacefully.
Just to go back to the Marikana issue very quickly, because we've come to the end of the interview, is the footage that you handed over to the police, could that be, could that be called in for evidence as to what had happened, or had you left by that time
already?
The
Commission actually collected the footage. We gave it to them. I had 3 or 4 interviews with them. And as I said, it would have been a million times better if we had 20 drones, because then Marikana wouldn't have happened.
All right, and very quickly, drones are not necessarily toys for boys. And what about recreational use? I went to a wedding where they used drones, a camera on a drone in the hall, and it made a terrible noise, and I thought that might be dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's definitely dangerous, and that should not be allowed. Actually, it's illegal. They will never get a formal license from CIA. And again, one must look at the benefit versus the risk. There is drone technology available, which is a big helium balloon with small motors that you use for that type of application. But you can't use what we call these multi-rotors that fly over people, because there the risk versus the benefit can't motivate you to do that.
And the risk to aircraft, if you've got a drone as a toy and you play with it outside in your garden, is there a risk?
There is a massive risk, and again, currently that's what's sad for us. CIA is doing nothing to educate the public and then control the informal sector, but they're making it impossible for the formal sector to operate. And we've told them in many, many meetings, do not kill the professional industry. Focus your energies from a control point of view on the misuse by private individuals. That doesn't do it malicious, they just don't know.
And drones are being used in a big way by militaries all around the world, are they not? In
Yes.
terms of to fight their wars.
Yes, even our own country, South Africa, Danielle, with the Seeker, our Seekers are operated in South Africa and worldwide for military applications. And again, the question should be asked, if you have a very dangerous military situation, would you like your son to be the pilot of the aircraft that got shot down? Or would you rather prefer to be your son in the control room controlling the drone that got shot down?
And
risk versus benefit.
That's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for a very interesting interview. And wouldn't it be great if we had robots to do our house cleaning and house cooking? I'm waiting for that. Let's take an ad break. Welcome back. And our next guest was diagnosed with lupus over 8 years ago, and well, for a part of that time, about 3 years, he was misdiagnosed and suffered the condition for over 8 years. He truly suffered in a very bad way. He had terrible headaches, and he is in our Cape Town studios. We're going to cross to him in a minute or two, and he's going to reveal his story to us. But the gist of the story is that it got so bad that he was sick and tired of all the medications he was taking, and just instead of getting better, was getting worse by the day. He then decided to do something about it, and let's talk to him about how he introduced a natural protocol into his life and turned his entire life around. A very interesting story indeed, so do stay tuned whilst I talk to Garth Kent in our Cape Town studios. Good morning, Garth, and welcome to the show. Right, I'm looking at you, and can you hear me, Garth? Good morning, welcome.
Can you hear me, Garth? Good morning, welcome.
Yes, I can hear you 100%. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm looking at you, and you look a picture of the pinkest of health, and I can't believe the story that I've read about you. I cannot believe that you were even wheelchair bound for quite some time whilst you were suffering from this condition called lupus. Tell us how it all started, and when and how did you take control of your life and decided that I now need to turn my life around?
Okay. Just to correct your, in the beginning, I was sick for 8 years, but this happened quite some time ago. It was in 1990, and what actually happened was a friend of mine had invited me to go and learn to ski on a dam in Tongaat up in KwaZulu-Natal. And unknown to us, the crops had been sprayed, aerially sprayed, with some substances to actually make the leaves fall off so that the harvesting is easier. And so there had been unseasonal rain. This was in July 1990. And what had happened was, over the 3 days, the chemicals that had been sprayed on the sugarcane was washed down into the dam in Tongaat. And not being a very good skier and only being there for lessons, my friend had a lovely boat but very strong motors, and he pulled me off the skis more than on the skis. So I swallowed quite a bit of water. And that was on July 17, 1990, and that was the day that my life actually changed completely. Because what happened was, by about lunchtime, I developed a very bad headache, very, very severe, and I tried to eat, tried all different things to try and sort it out, and nothing would help. So we went off to the local pharmacy, bought some painkillers, and I tried that, went into a dark room, nothing would work at all. And long story short, by that evening, I was in Entabeni Hospital in Durban, in the emergency ward, where they tried all sorts of things to try and find out what was causing my problem. The pain, as I said, was severe to the point where I was banging my head against the wall to try and relieve it because the painkillers were doing nothing. And that's the first time I was introduced to a substance that I would have in my life for the next 8 years, and that's morphine. Now, some of you may be familiar with morphine because it's a very good painkiller when you have a problem. However, it is short-lived, and so they injected me with morphine, and unfortunately what they did was they injected it intravenously. Now, for those who are in the nursing profession and the medical profession will know that if you administer morphine to anybody by injection, normally it's intramuscular. If you do it into the veins, then you've got to do it very slowly. But the poor young doctor that was dealing with me at the time, I think he was in a bit of a panic and he put it in very fast. At which point I had cardiac arrest. And the next thing I knew, it was when I had what I call the jumper leads, you know, the shocking machines that wake you up again. And I awoke from what obviously I had expired by dying from a heart attack. And a few minutes later I was resuscitated and I was back in life. But the pain was gone, which was good. And that was then the doctors put me into intensive care, and they ran also manner of tests to try and find out what was wrong with me. And as you mentioned earlier, that misdiagnosis began. Because from then on, nobody knew what my problem was. They thought it was maybe an amoeba in the liver. Then they thought it was a yuppie flu, you know, chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgic encephalomyelitis, the plethora of names that was given to the disease or the malady that I was suffering from were many. So I was then transferred to Mpangeni Hospital because I lived in Mpangeni from Entabeni. And from then on, it was a long, long struggle. And as you mentioned, I was misdiagnosed for the first 2 years. So for 2 years, I was in and out of hospital. I was on morphine. They tried all different kinds of medication. But I never went back to work. That was the end of my working career for that period of time. Are you still there? You hearing me?
I'm listening to you very intensely. So when is it that you decided to take control? You must have been sick and tired of all the medication. There came a time when they decided that they prescribing prednisone for you as well. And perhaps you thought, no, this is now the end. I can't any longer. I need to do something. How did you decide that you needed to do something? What was the something that you did, and how did 7.5.com or 7.5 come into being?
So you're right. The prednisone was kind of the turning point, because by that stage, and we were many years into it now, about 5 or 6 years into the problem, and the doctor said to me, "Look, you have systemic lupus erythematosus. That's what you've got, and that we've diagnosed you with that. It is a terminal disease. You're going to die, but I need to give you the medication that is prescribed by the Lupus Foundation, which is prednisone." So I had looked up all the various side effects of corticosteroids, and they are many, and they are dire. And when you already are sick, then you don't really want to take anything that's going to make it any worse. But he insisted, and so I said, fine. Perhaps I'm just being uncooperative. So I took the prednisone, and 2 weeks after starting on prednisone, I got out of bed one morning, and I fell down on the floor. And it felt as if all my joints were no longer connected, like the rubber man. And I simply couldn't get off the floor. And from then on, I was in an electric wheelchair. So I see it that prednisone actually precipitated an exacerbation of the disease, as opposed to dealing with helping me and getting any symptoms down. And that's the point when I decided, right now, always having lived a healthy life, I have to find a different way. And we traveled all over the world. I think last count it was about 22 or 25 countries that I'd visited, because what I did was a lot of research to find what was there out there that could help me, and I followed every little lead. In fact, I went to the east to have acupuncture. I went to Mexico to have different treatments over there. They were cutting edge. I went to travel through America and saw many doctors over there. Europe, England, well, as I said, many countries to try and find it. But you know, the sad thing is that although I found many things that were sort of doing the job, nothing really took me over the hump, as it were, and made me feel really, okay, now I've got something that's really sorted me out. But by the same token, I had collected a plethora of different kinds of treatments and supplements that I was taking, And I was always living a very healthy lifestyle. It was at a point where in fact, my marriage fell apart. My wife had left me, and the doctor had called and said to my wife she must come and see me, because they had now got to the point where I was on permanent morphine, and they decided that I wouldn't last more than 3 months. So they had advised my wife to come along and get all the paperwork done and get the will signed and everything, so that everything was sorted out, and that the family would be looked after once I passed on. It was at this stage, after I'd signed all the papers and so forth, and I was lying in my room. By the way, I lived in a very, very darkened room because light was terrible. I couldn't take light. I had air conditioning on all the time because I couldn't take heat. And lying in my bed, and I got a phone call from an old friend who said to me that she had been to a lecture, and the lecturer, who was from America in Utah, had mentioned lupus. And they were launching a new thing that they were trying to do, but lupus was mentioned. And so she said, please, can I bring him to see you? Well, by that stage, every multi-level marketing company with every product that had been out there, I had tried them all. So everything that I had tried did not work at that point. And I said to her, can I ask you, is this a multi-level marketing company? She said, yes. I said, they're not interested. I guess, how much money is it? And she mentioned a high amount of money. And I said, thank you very much for caring about me, but no thank you. And about an hour later,
can I ask you to hold that thought, please? We're going to take an ad break. We'll be back with you in a minute or two. So on that note then, let's play the ring. We'll be back in a minute or two, and we'll continue our discussion with Garth Kent about the natural protocol in the healing of his condition, lupus. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are now talking to Garth Kent. He's in our Cape Town studios, and he was diagnosed as suffering from systemic lupus. This was about 8 or so years ago, he suffered from the condition for about 8 years, and this happened in the early 1990s. He was sick for a very, very long time. At one stage, he was completely wheelchair bound, and eventually he was prescribed prednisone to treat his condition, by which time he felt he was near death's door and just felt enough is enough and something needed to be done. So let's cross over back to Garth and hear from him. What did he do, and when and how did he introduce something called a treatment plan called 7.5, and it's also on the website 7.5.com. Welcome back, Garth. And we stopped at where a friend of yours attended a conference. Someone from Utah in the States spoke about lupus. By that time, you were quite fed up and felt you'd had enough, but decided. What made you decide that you're going to give it one more try?
So I'm not sure where we got cut off there, so I might repeat something, and please forgive me if I do repeat anything. But he sat down and spoke to me, and we were sitting in my lounge, and as I said, the swimming pool was outside. And he said to me, you know, when you look after your swimming pool, when it goes green, that's because the pH is out. And I agreed with him. Now, my pool was absolutely green because I wasn't caring for it at that point. But what he showed me was, and what I know from any pool company, and anybody who's got a swimming pool will agree with me, if your pool goes green from algae, then you can take as much chlorine as you want and throw it in the pool. It'll kind of clarify it for a while, but it won't fix the problem because you're dealing with the symptom. In fact, mostly what it does is it just bleaches the algae so it looks blue. But if you want to correct the problem so that you've got nice, clear and clean water and algae does not grow, then the first thing you've got to do is you've got to correct the water pH between 7.2 and 7.8. Once you've done that, once you've got the water's pH corrected, then you can put in the chlorine, and not a lot. And now what will happen is the water will go completely clean. So we are just like a swimming pool in a way, because our bodies are 70% water. Now that's a lot. 70% of this body, whatever you weigh, multiply that by 0.7, and that'll be your amount of water, how many liters you've got in your body. So if we take that water, if that water is also acidic, then disease will develop. So now again, when you go for an appointment at one of our branches, they will explain to you in much more detail why that is so. why is it that when your body is acidic that you can develop disease? Well, in actual fact, you can develop up to 150 different diseases from the same cause, having an acidic pH in the interstitial fluids. It must be noted that I'm not talking about blood and I'm not talking about urine. It's all the other fluids in the body called interstitial that needs to be 7.5. And this gentleman said to me, if you get your pH to 7.5, there's a good chance that your body will heal itself. Well, that was a good motivation for me. I understood the scientific or the practicality of what he was saying, because with the swimming pool, yes, I had seen that many times in getting my pool back to clear water. So what did I do? I started drinking good water and supplements. Of course, I already was on a very healthy eating program, and that you need to change. But slowly but surely, I developed a system called cleanse, nourish, and balance. If you can do those three things, a miracle happens. It's no longer relying on medication or surgery or anything like that to heal you. Your body has got an inbuilt doctor system, if you want to call it that. It can heal itself. We've seen that. Some people maybe develop cancer, and all of a sudden they've got no more cancer. Their body can actually beat it. Not everybody does that, though. So what is it that the one person's got that's able to beat a disease that the other person hasn't got? Well, we believe it's those three things. If you cleanse the body, you nourish it, and you balance it, you give the body the best chance to be able to heal itself. And getting the pH right is the first thing. Well, I can tell you that 5 days after starting that program, I put myself into hospital first to do the detox, but 5 days after that, I was off all the medication. Off the morphine, off the prednisone, off the antidepressants, and all the other plethora of things that the doctors had me on. And I started to heal. I could actually see all the scabs, because my body was covered in ulcers and so forth. I'd lost the use of both my arms. I had operation in this arm. They were frozen, so I couldn't do that. After 5 days, as I say, I started to feel a difference. So the body can detoxify, it can start fixing itself. We're not saying that our program or our nutrients or anything like that do the healing. It's a wonderful thing to say that the body does the healing, but we supply the right system. So it was at that point that I started the 7.5 program. And funnily enough, it was my doctor that started me on the road, because what he did was, when I saw him after 2 weeks of starting the detox program, he said to me, I can't believe the difference in you. I mean, you're walking into my surgery, you're not coming in your wheelchair, you're not wearing your hat, you're not wearing your dark glasses, you're looking fantastic. So he says, look, I've got a friend who's got very, very ill. I wonder if you can help him. I said, well, I don't know. All I wanted to do really was to sort myself out. So he said, would you mind? I said, not at all. So he came along to my house, and put him exactly what I did. I told him to do the same thing. And 2 weeks later, the doctor phoned me and said, John is feeling fantastic. I've got another lady I want to send you. And he just kept sending me more and more of his, these patients which were problematic. So that put me in mind that perhaps I had an opportunity here to give back. Because here I had lost my life, in a manner of speaking. I've lost my business, I'd lost my family, but I was now getting my health back. And as many people have told you, without your health, nothing else is worth anything. So I thought, let me try and help other people. So I went back to America, and I studied something called multi-phase and dark field microscopy. Now, that's a very fancy word, but basically what it means is we got a very special microscope which splits the light source, and we can take a spot of blood out the finger, put it on the microscope, and we've got a camera on the microscope, so we project it onto the screen. And we're able to see what is called live blood. Now, very, very different from a normal blood test which you would do, which you take out of your arm, send it off to the lab, and a week or two later you got your results. This is instant. And you see your own blood because we put it onto a screen. So now this is very interesting because it helps people to see what's happening inside their bodies. So we developed a live blood analysis system.
I don't know what to look for.
Yes.
If I come to you, for example, for treatment, number one, is it only for lupus, or could I come for any known treatment, cancer or any other thing? But if I come and you show me the blood, I'm not sure what to look for. I've never, looked at blood under a microscope or whatever, so I wouldn't know what to look for, and I wouldn't know where to go from there.
Exactly. And actually, what you're saying there, I'm so glad you brought that up, because oftentimes I used to go and have my blood tested, get analysis done. And this big sheet would come back with all the results. And that meant nothing to me. Live blood analysis is something completely different. What we will do at the consultation is we will explain each of the different parts of the blood and what we're looking for and what good blood should look like. And we've got a chart with pictures, so you can compare the screen to the picture, and then we will show you where the issues are in the blood. We will then help you to develop a program that's made just for you in how to correct that. So then you come back again for a follow-up consultation, and we monitor the blood. We keep monitoring the blood to see how you're doing. Of course, you don't know, but the consultation is all about that. It's not a matter of coming in, see you for 5 minutes, and off you go. The whole program is about educating people to look after themselves and take hold and take responsibility for their own health. It's a very different thing to saying, going along to the doctor, for instance, and we're knocking doctors at all, but where we rely on the doctor, tell me what to do. How much more powerful is it if you gain the knowledge to be able to look after your own health? And that's really what we try and do, is educate people how to do things in a natural way without any side effects.
Earlier on, you spoke about fluids and not blood. When you spoke about wanting to heal yourself from the lupus, and you said it was 75% of our body consists of water, and rightly so. You made reference to cleansing the fluids of your body. Where does the blood come into the picture? Is the blood reflective of what's going on in your body? Is that what you're saying?
The blood, when we say that the pH of the fluid should be 7.5, the blood's pH must be between 7.35 and 7.45, a very, very narrow band. And the body actually robs everywhere from everywhere else in the body to keep the blood at that perfect pH. So that when they talk about acid pH in the blood, they're talking about closer to 7.35. When they talk about alkaline, it's closer to 7.45. It's a narrower band than the fluids of the body. The rest of the body is cannibalized to be able to keep the pH of the blood and keeping the blood pure. So when the body has lost some of its resources, or it has become under attack and is inflamed, that's all reflected in the blood. If the liver is not filtering correctly, that's reflected in the blood. If the kidneys are battling, reflected in the blood. Everything, it's a communication system, because it goes throughout your body. Wherever you need nutrients, the blood's got to bring that to the body. So that's why we talk about the blood under the microscope is very, very important, because life is in the blood. And so we can see what quality of life you've got by looking at the blood.
Almost come to the end of the interview, but just one or two very quick questions. Is how long does it take to heal yourself on the 7.5 program? What does it cost? And if I sign up to cure myself of any disease or condition that I'm suffering from, what would the outcome be? Can you almost, and I know there's no guarantees in life, but within what period of time would I be able to see results and know that I'm on the road to recovery?
Okay. So what we simply say is this: whatever disease you've got, obviously we're not going to promise you that you can grow a new arm or anything like that, but an imbalance in the body, that's what dis-ease really means. It means that you're not at ease, you're out of balance. So the program, how it works, we have branches around the country, they're all franchise branches, where you actually make an appointment, you'll go in and you'll spend between 40 minutes and an hour, and it's educational, as I mentioned before. We'll go through the pH, we'll go through your diet, and we'll do a blood analysis. Once we've done all that and assessed exactly what the situation is, we will make recommendations and design a program that is useful for you. So now, as to how long it takes, as with everything in life, you get out what you put in. If you are diligent about doing the program and you follow it and you do clean up your life, because you see, it's no good. I often say to people, if you're going to be putting poison back in, let's say you're smoking, for instance, as one, just an illustration, that of course we know is putting pollutants into the body. Now, if you've got a wind, and of course in Cape Town we have lots of wind, and if it's autumn now, if the wind is blowing the leaves in through the window, and I take my broom and I'm sweeping away, but I don't close the window, it's no good. I need to also close the window, otherwise I'll never clean off all the, or clean away all the leaves. Now the same with the body. You've got to be putting in good stuff if you want the body to cleanse itself. So we put people, everybody who comes along with any kind of disease, because in any kind of situation, there will be an imbalance. We put you on a 5-day detox program. Within those 5 days, you will feel a difference. I'm not going to say that the thing is going to be, whatever the problem is going to be completely healed, but you will most certainly feel a difference. That's why we call it the 5-day detox program. And in fact, we can say to you, on the 2nd or 3rd day, it'll be the worst part of the detox, because sometimes you get headaches or maybe a little bit of nausea and that type of thing. But it depends on the severity of the problem that you've got, how long the change will take.
And finally, no medications involved, am I right? Absolutely no medication involved in the treatment.
Absolutely no medication involved in the treatment.
There's no medication whatsoever. We don't use any pharmaceuticals or any kind of drugs and anything that has side effects. We have nutrients which we do offer to people, which are all absolutely natural, and it's really very, very important to us, because I've been on them now ever since I became healthy. So the purity of the nutrients which we have is paramount. And what they are basically is food supplements. So we will give you those according to what the body needs, because it's useless taking stuff you don't need. That's what also the blood analysis is very, very useful for, is it will pick up whether in fact you need any particular nutrients or not.
Garth, and that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for being with us, and whoever wants further information, they can Google you on 7.5.com. Thank you for your time. Interesting indeed, and all I'd say is, you know, if you are interested in perhaps going on this cleansing regime, then just Google 7.5 and see what they have to offer. And that's Garth's true story. He was on death's bed when he decided to take control of his life. Let's pay the rent, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the revolution around babies' napkins. And welcome back. We're into the final segment of the show this morning. I sincerely hope you have enjoyed the first 2 interviews. We spoke drones and robotics, and then we spoke about the natural way to cure lupus or any other disease or condition that you might be suffering from. Simply Google 7.5.com and you'll get all your answers there. Perhaps you need to make an appointment with them and then get all of your answers. Now we're going to be talking about something entirely different. We're going to be talking babies and babies' nappies in particular. We all have, brought our kids up on Pampers and all of those instant throwaway type. But I believe that we've now come full circle, and it's back to the terry cloth nappies, believe it or not. Our guest in the studio is Catherine Dowie, and she's going to tell us why is there this, throwback to the terry nappies. Catherine, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Gosh, I was pretty surprised when I heard that the terry cloth nappies are doing a big comeback in the market. Why is that?
I think that the modern mom is looking for options that don't cost too much money, as well as environmentally friendly options. And cloth nappies can save people a lot of money. They're also gentle on the skin because they're completely chemical free, and they're environmentally friendly because we're not throwing away thousands of disposables which are going into landfills.
But surely the disposables are the very practical and easy option. You just made a reference to the modern mom. We know most modern moms are working moms as well. They're young professionals, and they don't really have time to bother about stocking up a stockpile of nappies and ensuring that we have nappies on hand when baby needs to be changed, and then also the worry about the weather. If it's a rainy day, you're not going to have enough nappies, and just, mucking around and worrying about you've changed baby now, and then you need to get rid of the poo. Where does the poo go to?
Okay, all great questions. So when we talk about modern cloth nappies, we're not talking about those terry cloths that need to be folded and pinned and that you need to put your little waterproof cover onto. They're modern cloth nappies, so the outer layer is completely waterproof. The inserts can be sewn in, and it's really not a lot more work because you don't need to hand wash them. They don't soak in steri nappy anymore. You can wash them in the washing machine, and so it doesn't add that much time to what mums are already doing. We know that when you've got small babies, you're washing a lot anyway, so it's just one extra load that needs to be washed. Some of them can be tumble dried. Otherwise, you just hang them in the sun to dry, and they normally dry within the day.
So here I had, visions of the old-fashioned terry cloth nappies, the big square, and loads of them being stacked up. They're very different to what I had imagined. Can you show us a couple of those that you have on your lap?
Yes, correct. So this is probably similar to what you would have experienced in the past, where this is the terry cloth. They are still made. This particular style is still made, but the modern cloth nappy has a cute little waterproof layer on the outside. They're available either in Velcro or in snaps, and they are one size fits all. So they've got snaps in the front, which you can unsnap, and you can make it bigger. So your one nappy could fit a newborn baby, and it will fit right up until your 2-year-old potty trains. And then on the inside, this is where your absorbent layer is. And you did ask me earlier, what does one do with the poo, which is always the big question that we get. And there are two options. The one is that you buy a liner, and you can just, when the poo gets onto the nappy, you just throw the liner down the toilet, and then you wash this in your washing machine. Otherwise, a lot of mums get bidet sprayers, which are like those little high-pressure hoses, which you hold over the toilet, and then you spray the poo into the toilet. And then this goes into a dry bucket. It doesn't soak. And then on washing day, you put it in your washing machine, and then hang it up to dry.
Now, with the new throwaway nappies, baby, they've really advanced as far as technology is concerned in babies' nappies. So baby could be in a nappy for a couple of hours before you change nappy. And also baby skin is protected because they have all of the super absorbent material built into the nappy and so forth. So mom is very comforted in the knowledge that baby is not going to develop a rash.
Sure.
You're talking about this nappy. Does it have similar properties built in, or how does that work? Because you're talking about changing baby's nappy and then putting the nappy in a bucket, in a dry bucket, no steri nappy, in a dry bucket till wash day. That's number one. And number two, even though we've disposed of the poo in the toilet, surely there should be a bit of a smell as far as the nappy is concerned.
Okay, good questions. Most mums find that they don't get any rash when using cloth nappies. The reason for this is that they're completely breathable. The material that they are made from, although it's waterproof, it's not plastic. It's made from a type of material that's got tiny little holes in it, and the holes are small enough to allow air to go through, but not big enough to allow the water to pass through. That's why they're waterproof. But because they have the little holes that allow the air to circulate, the baby's bum is constantly having air against it, which means that they're not likely to rash. Some babies might experience rash if they feel wet, and then certain nappies come with a stay dry layer. So suede and fleece are both stay dry layers, so that keeps the baby feeling dry. We generally can say that disposable nappies will probably last longer. So you could leave a disposable nappy on for 6 hours, while a cloth nappy you're looking at probably about 3 to 4 hours. That said, we don't really recommend that you leave a disposable nappy on for 6 hours anyway, because the reason why it can hold so much is because it's got chemicals in it, and so you are exposing your baby's skin to chemicals. So these a lot of moms find are actually better for baby skins because they don't have any chemicals against them. It's completely natural. So for example, you and I are not walking around in plastic panties, and so we're wearing cotton, and so cotton can often be a lot more comfortable.
You spoke about cost and you also spoke environment, and I was staggered when you threw those numbers at me. Can you, just for the benefit of our viewers, tell us, give us a comparison to the throwaway nappies compared to what you're offering on the market?
Well, disposable nappies are going to cost probably about 25,000 Rand per child.
In their lifetime, so that's up to the age of 2 or 3 years, depends
Yes.
when you potty train them.
Right, so estimated at around 2.5. And so if you have 2 children, you're now spending 50,000. A family of 3, you're looking at 75,000 for disposable nappies. Cloth nappies, depending on which brand you go for, could set you back between 3 and 7,000 for your initial stash, which is approximately about 20. And although that is an initial outlay to give, you can use these nappies on your first child, your second child, your third child, because you just keep washing them and you keep using them. Once you're done with them, you can always pass them on to somebody else. And so that initial outlay of 3 to 7,000 is better than the 50 or 75,000 that you would spend on disposable nappies.
Now, even though you're suggesting that you pass the nappies on to your subsequent children, so firstborn, you make the initial investment and then you have your second and your third child, can those nappies actually last that long? Because I see they've got the elastic around the, where the legs, the thighs, and then it's got like buttons or pressed, press clips or something to that effect. With all of the washing, either hand or machine washing, can it stand all of that battering?
Most of the brands can. I can't speak for all of them. For example, I've got 2 children. My oldest is almost 3 and my other one is 7 months old. And my 7-month-old is wearing exactly the same nappies that my 2-3-year-old was wearing. So I am already using them on my second child. And if I was to have a third, they would definitely last. They would be fine. So the wear and tear on them, it might, the elastics might loosen a little bit, but then they're easy to replace. And then you can replace them. And a lot of them come with warranties on things like the little buttons.
So if the buttons pop or break, or if the elastic wears out in a short space of time, what's the warranty period there?
Most brands cover 1 year of warranty.
All right. There's a lot of myths around cloth nappies. Can we talk a little around that?
Well, some people think that it's a lot more work, and that it's going to be, it's going to take hours to wash them, that you've got to hand wash them, that you've got to soak them. But really, it's none of that. You wash them in your washing machine. You use your Omo, your Skip, your Ariel, whatever you normally use. As long as you don't use stay softener. We don't recommend using stay softener because stay softener coats the material, which will make it no longer waterproof. And so then you might find that you're getting leaks because the absorbent layer has been coated. So you don't use stay softener. Otherwise, you just wash them normally. You wash them on quite a long cycle, probably around 2 hours, your cotton cycle, to get them well agitated and properly cleaned. And if they are cleaned properly, if you've done your cotton cycle and you've used the right amount of detergent, you won't have any smells, and they work absolutely normally.
All right, we are talking to Catherine Dowie about the new cloth nappies that are now being introduced to new moms and toddlers. If you have any thoughts or any comments or any questions, please do call in. The lines are open on 011 086 7777. And Catherine's also offered to give away a starter pack to anyone who calls in to claim that prize. And of course, we do have the Broadway Suite hamper and the Amla hair care hamper on giveaway this morning as well. Let's pay the rent and we'll be back for the final slot of the show this morning right here on ITV. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left to wrap up time. Just a reminder that we're going to give away a starter pack of these new cloth nappies on the show this morning. All you need to do is call in to claim your prize. We also have a Broadway suite hamper and an AMLA hair care hamper. So do call in. 011 086 7777 is the number to call, and we do have our first caller. I think it's Chaminade. Morning, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you for calling. Your thoughts?
No problem. I'm just a cloth fanatic. I've been using cloth on my baby. He's 1 year old now.
Brilliant.
Yes, and I must say I'll never use disposables ever again.
Okay, good on you. Good on you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Just as a point of interest, how did you get introduced to cloth nappies?
Well, after I had my baby, I had a friend add me onto the mamahood group on Facebook, and I just saw everyone posting pictures of the cloth, and that's how I became interested.
Okay, great. Chaminade, we're going to be talking about the Facebook group in a minute or two, but I think seeing that you are already using the cloth nappies, we're going to send you a lovely sweet hamper, and do enjoy it, and thank you for the call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and bye-bye. Okay, that must be one of your followers. Let's talk, before we get to the Facebook page, you suggested that when you pop the nappies into the washing machine, let it run for 2 hours, but that's a pretty long cycle, isn't it? Why?
Well, if you consider that your baby's been wearing this nappy for 3 to 4 hours, they wee on average about 3 times an hour, you've got a lot of wee that's being held in this nappy. Okay. And so you need a long cycle to agitate all of that urine out and to get them properly clean. Okay,
and then the Facebook page which the caller referred to, tell us about that.
Well, in 2013, I started a Facebook group. At the time, I was living overseas in Malaysia, and there was a Facebook group in Malaysia that had 5,000 people on the group. But a lot of it was in Bahasa Malay, and so I couldn't really understand the conversation. But I thought, imagine if I could start a group that could also get 5,000 people who loved cloth nappies and who were passionate about it. And so I started this group with my mom and my one friend who wasn't pregnant at the time. And over time, it's grown. We've got almost 7,000 members now. It's extremely active. We get at least 100 new posts every day. People sharing pictures of their nappies, and it's also a chance for people to ask questions. So if they find that they're getting leaks in their nappies, they can ask us about it, and we provide support. And it's completely non-profit, it's free, and people get good advice to use cloth nappies successfully.
Why did you make the decision to go the cloth nappy route? Where and how did you hear and learn about it? And I see we're now in the 21st century, and it seems we've come full circle.
Right.
And cloth nappies possibly are going to be here to stay.
I think so. So when I was in Malaysia and I was pregnant, I was at home, my husband was working, so I was doing research for baby products, as most pregnant women do, and I came across these, and it just made sense to me that they were going to save money, that they were environmentally friendly, and that they were going to be good for my baby's skin. And then as I started to research them, and I saw all these cute little prints, so some of them have elephants on them, and some have tortoises and little horses, and so they become really cute, and then it becomes very trendy. So my little children walking around with their cute little cloth nappies is so sweet. And so all the benefits, as well as the fact that it's trendy and that it looks good, is really what attracted me.
Okay, let's take our next caller. Welcome to the program. Who are we speaking to? Hello, caller, are you there? Okay, unfortunately, we've lost the call. So you were in Malaysia at the time. Was it readily available, easy to obtain in Malaysia?
Yes, very. So it was a very popular thing in Malaysia. It was very easy to buy. There were a lot of international as well as local brands. And at that time, there were probably only about 10 brands available in South Africa. If you look at the market now, there are close to 100 brands that are available. So it has exploded, and I'm quite sure it's got to do with the Facebook group, that people have found support and community there, and they find people who are interested in the same things as them. They're getting the support to cloth diapers successfully, and so the market is really exploding.
I must say it's the first time I've heard of it, but it does sound pretty revolutionary, and I'm certain, you know, peace of mind as far as moms and dads are concerned. Would you say it involves a little extra work or not?
It involves one extra load of washing. We don't use plastic knives and forks and plates. Why? Because it doesn't make sense financially, and it doesn't make sense for the environment to use plastic cutlery at every single meal. We wash them and then we reuse them, and it's exactly the same as nappies. We wash them and then we reuse them. So I think the estimate is that it maybe adds an extra 10 minutes onto your chores each day.
All right, so for people interested in buying the nappies, where, you know, which outlet would they go to get the nappies from?
At this stage, almost all the shopping is done online. They're not readily available at big baby stores like Baby City.
Why not?
I think because it's relatively new, and it's niche community at the moment. But we are trusting that it's going to become mainstream, and hopefully in the future they will be available there. Currently, I sell at an online shop called Little Sam's, and we have a variety of different brands, which include your entry-level ones that are selling for 100, 150 Rand, as well as some of the more expensive brands which are selling for 600 Rand for a nappy.
Okay. What's so special about those expensive brands?
They're imported. It's also the types of material that are used. It's higher quality. But that said, the cheaper entry-level brands are going to work just as well. You might just need to change them more frequently. So, say for an example, a 150 Rand nappy might last you 2 hours, while a 600 Rand nappy is going to last you your 12 hours to get you through the night.
I should imagine that this, even though we're saying this is going to revolutionize the baby nappy industry, there are going to be people who will still opt for the throwaway, and I guess the throwaway does have a place in possibly the adult nappy world for people who are incapacitated, people in wheelchairs, people that are in bed, etc. That would always be the preferred option for them. But for the little ones, this really is the way to go.
Yes, I think so. And of course, we always say that people must do their research. They should look at their options between using disposables and cloth nappies. Some people choose to do them both. So they part-time use disposables and they part-time use cloth, which is also an option. Other moms are adamant that it's only cloth. And I think it's each mother's got to make, and father has to make the choice for what's best for them and what's going to work for their family.
Are you planning on getting these nappies into all the major chains?
Of course, that's always the goal, because that's good for business. And we are hoping that that will be something that could happen in the future.
Now, you did, we're almost at the end of the interview, but you did, we spoke about one or two myths around the cloth nappies, and of course, the pros and cons, around throwaway nappies. What other things should people be looking out for and watching out for using the cloth nappies? And I know you have pointed them to the Facebook page, but for the purposes of this interview, is there anything more they need to know about the cloth nappies?
Well, the one other thing, I did recommend that we don't use stay softener, but we also recommend that you don't use traditional bum creams unless you use a liner, because traditional bum creams are designed to coat the skin and make the skin waterproof to keep the moisture in. So if you do that on your absorbent layer of your nappy, you're going to coat the nappy, and then the wee is not going to be able to be absorbed properly. So there are some cloth nappy safe bum creams which you can use, like coconut oil or Pure Beginnings, or you can use your typical Bennett's or whatever you buy from the pharmacy. You just have to use a disposable liner just to prevent that bum cream from actually going onto the absorbent part.
Well, thank you indeed. And for anybody interested, they will then obviously either join the the Facebook group, or they will then Google Little Sam's and get to know more about the nappies and possibly even source them from you. And that's where we leave it. We've come to the end of the show for today. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed being with us. And do remember, we do have a starter pack of these nappies to give away. And seeing that no one's claimed them this morning, we will give them away on a Saturday. Thank you so much for being with me. Let's wrap up then with the thought of the day. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. And that's it then from me. A big thank you to the production team, and wassalam from me, Julie Alli.
قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، حني قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا، يا هلا ويا هلا ويا